Lounging, son.
Welcome back to another episode of the Comic Lounge podcast. My name's Ruthless Ryan. I got my co-host, Diabolical Dylan. And we're joined by Malicious Mario.
What up?
Damn, bars, right?
Yeah.
Fucking bars.
Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorites, Wytches by Scott Snyder and Jock. Kind of wanted to talk about it. Not only is it the month of Halloween, so it's a great horror book, but also because I got a chance to interview Scott Snyder a couple weeks ago. And Mario, thanks for joining us today. But I think we both agree that he's at his best when he's doing horror books, at least.
Yeah. No, I totally. Like, even Black Mirror.
Yep.
Mario said Black Mirror. We actually just did an episode. I think I briefly talked about it last week. We went through the Absolute edition of it. I just got done editing it yesterday, and I already want to fucking read it again. That book is just phenomenal. If you haven't read it, make sure you go pick it up.
I haven't read it since its original run. I have a hardcover, but
okay. I
haven't read it in forever. I'm down. I'm fucking hell yeah. I'm super down for Black Mirror. Black Mirror was great.
It's just phenomenal, dude. It's such a great package too. And the Absolute editions, I think we've talked about this on the show before, are one of my favorite formats to read a book in. Even though can be kind of a pain in the ass because of how large the book is, they just do such a great job with the supplemental material in the back and the paper stock and the slip cases. I mean, it's just so great.
I have my eye on a Green Lantern Absolute at the shop. And then I pass by it and I stare lovingly at it every time I walk by.
Yeah, there's quite a few on my list. So
yeah, so I'm like, after I got that Absolute Watchmen, I'm like, dude, I need another one to match because like it freaking towers over everything I have.
Yeah, I think I have 5 Absolutes right now, nice. And I got one on the way. I ordered the second Swamp Thing Absolute, and nice. a customer ended up ordering 1 and 2. So I let them have my 2, and I had to wait an extra week for my 2, but it's fine. I have a tremendously large pile of books anyways to read.
Look at that fucking customer service right there. Here, I'll sacrifice my own happiness for you, customer. Here you go.
I mean, really, the only reason I did it is because if I didn't, Nick would just give me shit for it the entire day, so I just didn't feel like arguing that day. Normally, I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. I work here. They ordered it after me.
Even though he forgets to order stuff all the time.
Oh, dude. He forgets. He blatantly doesn't do it while I'm standing right next to him.
Or he puts the book that you ordered out for sale because he forgets that you ordered it.
Oh yeah, Green Arrow Year 1 for you. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, was that the Absolute or the Deluxe, whatever the fuck
that was? That was the Deluxe. Yeah, it's funny, Dylan. We're joking about this because Mario came in and there was a bunch of omnibus that he wanted to order just to make sure that I mean, even though they're not coming out for like 7-8 months, he just wanted to make sure he got his order in right. So as he's doing it, he's ordering Mario the all new Wolverine, and I'm like, order me one also. And he's sitting there and he doesn't fucking do it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, dude, just
he does it on purpose, or
I don't know. I was like, all you have to do is change the number from 1 to 2. Yeah. That's all you gotta do, bro.
Well, he turns over to Ryan and he's like, oh, I don't know. I don't think I can do that right now. Yeah. I gotta do that later. I was like, and Ryan's looking at you literally just ordered 7 omnibuses 40 seconds ago.
I know.
You can't do it right now.
Oh my god, dude. It drove me so crazy, but whatever. Now, I mean, I can always do it myself. It's just more the point that, I had forgot to do it, and he was doing it for Mario, already putting it in order for all these omnibus, and he just couldn't change the number for me. But, whatever. It's fine. I'll just put my own orders in. I mean, I'm allowed to do it, so it's like, whatever. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
But,
speaking of all new Wolverine, funny. I actually finished my reread over my little break.
Nice.
Finished my reread, so now I'm going even further back, and I started reading NYX.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I forget how well NYX is written as far as capturing the whole teen angst thing. Man,
well, and how extreme it was, because I was part of their Max line back in the day.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
so
just a bunch
of
druggy little
prostitute.
teenagers.
She was a prostitute in the beginning, a child prostitute. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely some heavy stuff. Whoa, forgot how good it was. Started reading that. Yeah, and like I said, I haven't read anything new, but I only had 2 things on my pull. It was Robin King and Justice League 55.
Why'd you do
Why are you doing that?
Because look,
the Robin King though.
That was just on my poll. I just went,
okay. Because the Justice League, I understand. The Justice League's been pretty fucking good. Actually, it's pretty entertaining. Yeah. I mean, and I love Williamson, but the Robin King, I brought it home. I opened it up and I looked at the first page and I closed it and put it in my backpack. I didn't even. Like, no, I was like, I can't do this to myself. I was like, some of them, because we've talked about this. Like, I'm liking where metal's going. It definitely is picking up a little bit more. It's kind of getting
fleshing out. It's starting to flesh out a lot
more
better.
Interesting now, and some of the tie-ins were actually pretty cool. But then there was that one that I didn't like, the Multiverse End. It was just kind of there. And
it was wacky, dude. It was too wacky.
It was like he was trying to be Grant Morrison, but he didn't do well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So, I don't know. Robin King, I couldn't do it, dude. I tried. I'm like, fuck, maybe I'll just read it. Maybe it'll be good. And I think I read one. I think I read one caption bubble. I was like, no, thank you, dude.
That's all it took, huh?
Yeah, that's all it took.
Yeah, and and I picked up the Silver Surfer Black trade that came out.
You don't have the Treasury edition?
I do, but I don't want to. I want to keep that as pristine as possible. I want to do a reread.
Okay.
Take it to work. I can't fit the Treasury edition in my backpack without folding. But yeah, I also what do you call? I heard there's going to be a Donny Cates omnibus with all his
Donald Cates.
Donald, yeah.
I have to say that I'm not feeling Donny Cates right now, dude. I'm really not. I took everything off my pull from Donny Cates. Except I am gonna check out Crossover. I'll check that out.
Did you read the advance I sent you?
I wanted to, but look, this is my thing. And I was talking to Ari about it because he told me you sent it to him.
Yeah.
If I'm not gonna review it, I'm not going to advance to read it because it ruins the experience for me. I talked about this, especially with Pulp. You know how much I love Brubaker. Mario knows how much I love Brubaker. I had that advance for 3 months before that came out. And I wanted to read it so bad, but I'm like, you know what? It's going to ruin the experience for me. And it kind of does when I read stuff digitally because, I mean, I've never read stuff on Comixology, but it's not even like that. You're literally scrolling through a comic book, and it's just not an ideal reading situation for me.
Yeah.
And or if I'm gonna interview the creators of the book, then I will read it in a digital. Like Inkblot, I read digitally because I was gonna talk to Emma Kubert before the book even went out. So
yeah.
It's the filthy casual way of doing it. That's the problem.
Filthy casual.
I love that. That's like my favorite phrase that Mario says. Filthy casual.
Casual.
I like to say hot trash when something is, a garbage book.
No, but that just means it's really bad.
That's like my favorite thing to say about a comic book, Yeah,
but that's the quality of the book. This is more of a reflection of the person.
Of the reader.
Oh, you're a fucking casual. You're not just a regular casual, you're a filthy casual.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
You read Hush and you think it's the best Batman book. Yeah, that's what that means.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. Yeah. No.
I can respect that. Yeah, but about Cates, I don't know, dude. Like Thor, I'm just not digging it. I'm not into it at all. I kept trying, hoping that I would like.
I haven't even read anything past the whole Galactus Black Winter thing.
Yeah,
I think issue 7 came out with everyone's hands on the hammer.
Right.
I haven't even read it.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It's just I was like, I'm not feeling it. He's like Straczynski light. You know what I mean? You just see that he was trying to be Straczynski with those 2 issues. And dude, you're not that good. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, you're not on that level. You can't match that Thor. Be your own voice. You know what I mean? And then Venom, I put it back on my pull list because I kind of wanted to read it again because I didn't dislike the book. I just took it off because my pull list got really, really large, and I sold all my Venom issues because I needed the money, during the pandemic. And then I read the last issue this month, and I'm just like, I don't need to buy it. If I want to read it, I'll read it at the shop. But it's not something I want to keep on my pull. I don't know. I just feel like Donny Cates as a creator is starting to annoy me because of what he's like. He's feeding speculators, dude, and it's so annoying. It's dude,
I've noticed that too.
You are fucking catering to the fucking people that I dislike in the comic book community. Like, it's one thing to create a book and it just happens to get speculated on. It's another thing when you're feeding it. And that's exactly what the fuck he's doing.
There's been such a crazy surge of specs coming into our shop lately. Like, it's bananas. Just asking about certain things. And you know how specs, they know their specs, so they kind of try to hide their specs.
You mean like when Ryan comes in and then he sends his daughter in 10 minutes later?
Yeah, Ryan, what the hell? No, but there's
good
this
idea.
Guy,
Why not?
There's this guy that comes in. He's like, "Oh, I see you guys still have issue 1 of Stillwater at cover price. Oh, that's pretty cool. Like, try to go to other shops. Like, my nephew picked it up. He said he paid $10 for it." And we're just like,
It's
"Your nephew?"
Stillwater?
Yeah.
Why?
It was speculated on. I don't remember exactly why, but I mean, we had it up on eBay too for like $10. I was like, this is stupid, dude. You guys are gonna end up sitting on so many copies because nobody's gonna pay $10 for that book. And what happened? We had like 20 copies, if not more, that we're not doing anything. I was like, dude, just put them on the shelf, man. Like, sell. It's gonna kill the book. Because people can't buy the first issue, which is gonna enable them to not buy the second. You know what I mean? Like, and I read the second issue. I wasn't exactly blown away.
He was right. So you need issue 2 to know what's going on in issue 3. That's literally what. That's literally what issue 2 felt like. The last couple pages, like the last 3 or 4 pages, that was cool. But everything was just all composition building up to issue 3.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's the whole thing is exposition. You get literally told what's happening.
And I don't know. It's just, I think I'm gonna weight that book. I think I wanna, especially because like
the art's really good though.
It is. But if I'm gonna spend money, right now, one of my personal goals is to fill in all of the missing Mignolaverse trades that I don't have. And I don't. There's a lot that I don't have. I don't have most of the BPRD. I don't have any of the Lobster Johnson. I haven't read any of the Baltimore. All this Witchfinder, all this stuff. I really have always been intrigued by, and I haven't been getting it. So I figured, you know what? I can slash a bunch of my single issues and just start filling in like my Mignolaverse collection, which is kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What else did you read, Mario?
As far as like Dylan's type of thing, I've been rereading New Avengers.
Hey. Oh yeah, that's right. You got the.
I've been getting the complete collections.
You got the Hickman one?
Oh no! Get the fuck out of here with that shit. No, the real New Avengers, the Bendis.
The good one. What? That's true. I'm sorry, dude. I have. Hey, hold on. Let me be honest before you go into it. Okay, I haven't read the majority of the Hickman Avengers, but from what I have read, it doesn't even compare to what Bendis did. Go ahead.
No. I mean, like Hickman's hit or miss for me. Like, I liked his Fantastic Four. I didn't like his Avengers. I certainly didn't like Infinity and whatever the fuck else he wrote after that. But yeah, this wasn't my thing.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry,
New Avengers is awesome. I mean, I haven't read it in a little bit. I used to read it every year, reread the entire New Avengers. But it's been a few years, so it's pretty dope, and it's pretty crazy because we talked about this on another conversation with Ryan about Bendis, and it's crazy to see how he lays out kind of everything that's happening at the same, because this is a really good time in comics when this was coming out, because this is around the time this leads into Brubaker's Cap, Mortal Iron Fist, Invincible Iron Man by Fraction.
Yeah,
all of this is happening at the same time. Alias, all of this was going on around the same time, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, this is an era that we've talked about. I mean, Dylan, we talked about it with Nick with the Iron Man. I think we talked about it again later on, but it is my favorite era of Marvel. As much as I'm a '90s kid and I do like my '90s stuff for good or bad, I think that early 2000s, dude, was just like Marvel just completely fucking blew me away with pretty much everything that was coming out, and I can honestly say that I liked Marvel better than DC at that time for sure.
And Bendis was just fucking.
Oh, he was on fire, dude.
Yeah, shit left and right, because I was thinking like most of the books were him.
Dude, it was pretty much a guarantee. If you saw his name on a comic book, it was good. Yeah. Like I would blindly just buy a Bendis book because his name was on it, and it's like what I do now with Brubaker. The only difference is Brubaker hasn't lost a step, and I'm sorry, Bendis, but you have. He's just not on the same level as he was before. I don't know. I have no idea why. because I thought maybe him going to DC would kind of reinvigorate his creativity. And at first, some of the Superman stuff was good. I had high hopes for like Event Leviathan, but I was kind of let down by that. I think he needs to get back to more.
I think he needs to slow down.
Yeah,
that's the thing that I was thinking about too. Because so if you look at New Avengers, a lot of the stuff that ended up happening, like leading up to Secret Invasion, all that shit, all that stuff was planted as seeds in New Avengers like years before it happened.
Oh, I know.
So it was like a long game from when he started Avengers in general all the way to when the events actually played out. I think with DC, he wants to do it faster. He just doesn't. I don't think he has the patience anymore to do it over the course of like 4 years as opposed to now. I think he wants to do an event very quickly. You
know what? It's either that or it's DC doesn't have the patience.
Probably that too, because I think now he has a name. Too. Now there's an expectation, like when he started with New Avengers back in 2004 or whatever that was.
Yeah, Avengers wasn't doing shit before. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
Avengers was like B-list, dude.
Yeah, I think Jeff Johns had
Jeff Johns was the last run before Disassembled. So
right, and that was good. I actually really liked that, the Red State stuff. There was a couple cool arcs that I really enjoyed that Johns did. But I mean, Avengers was much like Iron Man, Captain America. All those characters were like C-list characters in comics. Unless you were a diehard comic books fan, you didn't really give a shit about those characters, you know. Yeah. And then I think the combination of Bendis and the MCU just catapulted these characters to where they surpassed the X-Men, who were the golden children. You know what I mean? Like at Marvel, I would even say like Spider-Man has kind of taken a backseat to some of these characters, even though it's consistently sells well. I don't think it's even on the quality of the other characters. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
But
shout out to is Batman White Knight presents Harley Quinn. Mostly because of the art.
I know. I almost got it because of the art. I just don't like Sean Murphy. So.
Dude, the art on this thing is insane.
It's beautiful.
It's Scalera with art, so it's like top-notch art.
Well, anything Scalera does is amazing.
Right. Yeah.
He's an amazing artist. He is the one that did Black Science, right? With Remender. Yeah. Wow. I need to get those hardcovers before they go out of print.
He also did like was it Space Bandits with Miller recently?
Right,
which was pretty good. I like that one. Okay. And Dead Body Road. There's a couple things here and there.
Oh, okay. Oh, he did the original Dead Body Road, not the current.
Yeah,
one.
not the new one. The original one from like 2014, something like that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? Speaking of Bendis, I read a lot of Bendis this week. I not only did I go back. And I like I was telling you, Mario, remember I got the second Miles omnibus.
Yeah.
So I read that, and then I rebought the trades of the current Miles run because I sold them because they were going for money. And and I bought the first two trades, and then I have all the singles that go up to current. So I read all that, and then I even went back and read the original Ultimate Spider-Man Vol.1 because I have that's the only one I have in trade. The rest are all single issues that are like locked away in my fucking shed,
like the catacombs of your house.
Yeah, but holy shit, dude! I don't care how many years go by, that fucking first volume of Ultimate Spider-Man is still phenomenal. Dude. That I think was really like the peak of his writing. He was pumping out books left and right. He pumps out books left and right now. They're just not as good. But back then, he could pump out like fucking 4 monthly titles, and they were all fantastic. I wish this was still in print because I can't even recommend this fucking book to anybody because none of it is in print. None of it. You'll be lucky. Yeah, you'll be lucky if you find a random volume here or there. Like I think we have a volume 1 at the shop, but that's because we bought a collection that had it in there.
I don't know that it sells very well because.
It doesn't sell well because you can't buy it.
I bought the omnibus for like $20 because they were just trying to get rid of it because it just wouldn't sell.
That thing's going for $350 on eBay. Yeah, because they stopped. They didn't even go past it.
I think they only made the first omnibus and that's it. The rest I have the first omnibus and then everything else is in trades because there's no other way to get it.
Yeah, it's annoying. But I read all that and fucking I did read this week's books, but the only thing that really stood out to me was Daredevil. Yeah. I don't think that I did read the new volume of November also that came out this week. I don't know if either of you have read that, the Matt Fraction and Elsa Chartier.
I reviewed the first one for the site. That's where the last one I read.
Okay. Yeah, so the third book came out, and then there's one more. I really like it, dude, because she has it's like a mix of Darwin Cook and David Mazzucchelli, and I just really like her art style. And Matt Hollingsworth is on colors, and speaking of Matt Hollingsworth, he's also the colorist on Wytches. So let's jump into Wytches, dude.
Yeah, damn, nice segue.
Let me read the credits off real quick. I kind of already said it, but written by Scott Snyder, art by Jock, colors by Matt Hollingsworth, Clem Robbins on letters, and David Brothers is the editor. This is such a manic and horrifying fucking story, dude. Like, I've read it at night in the dark before, and it's really creepy if you read it that way.
Just imagine Ryan in like his footy pajamas and shit, and like swinging his feet,
wearing his onesie.
Yeah,
his Lakers onesie. Enjoying his hot cocoa.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's a Batman onesie, bro. That's
Oh, I thought it would have been a Kobe one.
Like, is it a Batman onesie? Is it like Michael Keaton Batman, or is it like 1966 Batman? Because like, that's the difference.
There's only one Batman to have, and that's the George Clooney one. What are you talking about with the bat nipples?
Oh, bat nipples. Gotcha.
Yeah. How do you have a onesie without bat nipples on it? I don't know. All joking aside, though, I think this might be the third time I read it. I can't remember, because I know I've read it at least twice.
This is the second time for me.
I've only read it twice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this story. I'm a huge fan of Jock, huge Scott Snyder fan. I would say that the only stuff that I'm not really like huge on that Scott Snyder has written would be maybe some of the DC stuff that's just not as strong. But anything he puts out that's horror is always great. I love his American Vampire. I mean, we talked about that on your podcast, Mario, the Comic Marauders, that first book, and I love that series. That one just came back also with 1976.
Yeah.
He also wrote a horror book called Severed, which I think you guys did an episode also on the Comic Marauders. But I love this, and I've been itching for this to come back. I know you asked me, Mario, if we were going to talk about the Halloween special, but that's also lost in the catacombs of my house, so I couldn't find it. Yeah, dude, I just want this book to come back so much, dude. I love that it puts a completely different spin on Wytches than I've ever seen before. Not only is it a different spin, but it's even spelled differently with a Y, which I still don't really understand the differentiation of it, of why he did that.
But I do be more like a pagan thing, because I think the whole thing is it's like a folktale. It's an old legend in the towns and shit.
Okay. But I do like.
And I think in like some early languages, like they didn't utilize the letter I, because it was like a 26-letter alphabet or something. So they spelled things differently.
Oh, okay. But yeah, and then I like in the beginning too, he has like the definition of witch, and I think that as much as I love the story, and we can go on for days about the story, the standout is the art.
Yeah.
Jock.
It's his design of the fucking witches and the coming out of the trees and shit. And dude, like, this is a book that could give you fucking nightmares. You know what I mean? Like, legitly. I read this during the day so that it did not affect my sleep. You know what I mean? Because, like, usually if I'm reading something right before I pass out, it affects my dreams. You know what I mean? I usually will have something along those lines.
You just stare at a Kobe poster for 20 minutes before you go to sleep usually, so you can just dream about Kobe?
I mean, dude, Kobe's always on my mind, bro. I don't need to. You know what I mean? But yeah, no. I was careful not to read this at night. But I'm telling you, just like in the coloring, dude, the coloring is insane. It's so unlike any other coloring that you see in comics. It's like splotchy and messy with like almost like there's like color stains on pages. And like I said, it's very manic. Jock has a very manic style. His style alone is very scratchy and it's very erratic, and it adds to the tension of what's happening in this town. Right now I'm looking at one of the witches too. It's creepy as fuck, dude. And the sounds they make like that, and I started hearing that in my head as I'm reading them.
I was thinking this is probably a story about being a parent, because he was talking about how I think in the back session he grew up in an area like that in the woods and stuff. I feel like this is him just getting out all of the fears of being an adult and having parents and having kids, and then having them go out, because he talks about how he would go out and go hunting and stuff like that, and you would go out into the woods and you never know what happens. And as being on the opposite side now, where he's a parent dealing with his kid going out into the world and dealing with like the horrors of life and shit. And then the witches can be kind of like can symbolize the decisions that you made as an adult and how they impact your kids. Because it's like the whole thing about how, what is it called? Is that an offering? What was the word they used?
A pledge.
You get pledged, but it's kind of like that happens before it happens to you without your control. So it kind of felt like that was like your decisions as a parent, as an adult, impacts your kids. And your kids don't have control over that. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got out of the whole book, and that's a lot of his writing is a reflection of how he feels about something, and I think he's talked about that multiple times.
He has, man. I mean, and I love that about his writing, and that's why he is one of my favorite writers, because if you look under the surface, right, of every story that he writes, you can see how he's putting fears in it. And that's why, like, I was talking briefly, like when he told me about metal and what was underlying and some of like his feelings and fears about like what was going on in the world, how he fed that into his Justice League run and into metal. I'm like, okay, now I get it a little bit more. Like now I can appreciate it a little bit more than I did before. And this is completely, like you said, Mario. I mean, he even talks about it in the back. He's talked about it in interviews about Wytches, about, you know, how he puts his own fears. And I think that's why he is so good at horror, right? Because he's writing horror books, putting his fears into that. So that's why they feel very genuine. And they give you that sense of dread as you're reading it. But you know, like the relationship between the dad and Sailor, the main character, it's such a genuine relationship, and he gets that across so quickly in the beginning of the book. As it goes on and his daughter is in trouble, he will go to any lengths to protect her. And I think that, you know, as a parent myself, like I would do anything for my daughter.
Yeah. I hate to go back on Jock, but Jock's art in this like legitimately gave me feelings of claustrophobia. Like there was this really encapsulating feeling that his art brought, especially like when he depicts people getting stuck in trees. Like, can you imagine being stuck in a tree? I'm not down with that. Like that's like one of the most horrifying things I could ever like possibly think of. Like, and then you have a little hole in the tree and there's a mouse in it. Like what? You know, and some of the stuff, some of the gory parts here too are like absolutely horrible. Like when Sailor's having a flashback of what happened to Annie, and you know, she gets pulled into a tree. Like, damn, bro. Like there's a certain feeling of even throughout the whole thing, even the parts that didn't necessarily have any of the witches in it. There is this very visceral, heavy. You know, in the beginning of some horror movies where they roll the credits and it's like this old sepia like film reel, and it's like, you know, just very, very choppy and very erratic. Like that's how I felt throughout the whole thing. In the back of the trade, Jock is talking about it, how he'll draw, he'll color, and then what he did to do the splotches and all the thing, he'd actually hand paint something, scan it, and then superimpose it over the whole entire page. Like, so it's really crazy how it's like super mixed media, how he went about this whole thing. And I think that's how he does like a lot of his stuff. Like he'll superimpose a lot of stuff that he actually hand paints and put it over. It's pretty crazy.
You mean Hollingsworth?
Oh yeah. Well, either way, I think it's either Hollingsworth or it's either Jock. I don't know who does the superimposing, but
I see what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm looking at the back right now. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool how they approach the whole mixed media for it and how it works so well. And then as far as the writing, I do agree. It's definitely about the whole sins of the father and just parenting. I mean, I don't know anything about parenting. You know what I mean? But I imagine that I would go to any lengths for my kid, and this definitely goes out to prove it too. Especially after the big reveal about the mom. And
and like, and it's funny. I read this the first time I was not a dad. It's real. I have to say, dude, it's really weird. Like every time I read these things about like where it's involving parents and their kids, like, you know, and I read them years ago, I didn't get that same feeling. And like, I got a completely different feeling when I read it this time, because now I read it as a dad. And I'm just like when the mom fucking like turns on the kid. I was like, dang, I was like, you're a cold bitch, dude. I would have slit your throat right there. I mean, I love my lady, dude, but if you fucking gave our daughter away, I wouldn't even. It's not even the lengths.
It's the lengths in which you would go to. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like where you see the dad, he's one side of the spectrum, whereas the mom is like the complete opposite. You know, she's been planting the seeds since before they even moved there. So it's just been crazy, you know what I mean?
It's intense. Like you have like the feelings that you get with this book, dude. It's just like anxiety, confusion, dread, like all these different things as you're reading it. Like you can almost feel what the characters are feeling, and I think it's one of Snyder's best works personally. And I like that's why I really wish he would continue. And you know, he has all these other things going on, and Jock's doing other stuff, and especially when it's creator owned, you kind of are almost doing the work for free until you get the money. So I get it. But, you know, luckily we did get that Halloween special and it kind of expanded on some of the history. I can't exactly remember, so I don't want to touch on it too much because, like, I think we learned more about the Irons, which we learn in this book are kind of like the witch hunters, if I remember correctly. And it's just like, I'm just so excited to see like where this continues to go forward because there's just so many places it can go. And there's another lead character that we met in the Halloween special that I really want to see. I think they connect with Sailor. Maybe I'm wrong, or they're going to connect with Sailor. I mean, Jock needs to be doing stuff more frequently. And I really like when he's doing these kind of books because he's kind of unbound. While there is an editor, there's nobody being like, ooh, we can't have that in this book. You know what I mean? We get to see a completely unleashed Jock. And I was just like, as we were talking, I was flipping, like, just from the opening scene, dude, this little fucking shit pledged his mom, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, that was vicious.
Like, I'm like looking at it, it's like, dude, that's how you open the book.
Well,
like,
sort of, but then you also find out later on that it was because that kid existed to be pledged.
Yeah.
So he was trying to escape. He's trying to escape the curse.
Yeah. Right.
So he was kind of a victim in the whole thing, but then that kind of ends up being a twist too. Like the whole thing is just a bloodline.
Yeah, but it also ties into the whole sins of the father thing too. Yeah. Like whereas that's the grandfather and he was supposed to be the pledge, but he changed their whole format. So everything is kind of like circling back as to why Sailor was given up by the mother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it's really well written, and like the more I talk to you guys about it, because there's these conversations like help me see things. It's like with you, Ryan, like when you talk to Nick about stuff, and you know, he gives you a different freaking thing about it. Like same here, like this is great. Which is, I feel like this could be really made into a really well written miniseries. As far as like something adaptable for television, aside from the Wytches itself, like you don't really need much. You just need good acting and good script writing. But it'd be like
a show where you would just see the actual Wytches like 3 times a season.
Yeah, exactly. But I love the whole thing about the people in the cauldron and how they interpreted like old facts about witches, but they turned Snyder kind of turned it into his own. With the whole cauldron and like just witches in the forest, the whole witch in the forest thing, I think is great too.
The trees, the whole thing with the trees.
Yeah.
Dude, what about that fucking chick Clara, dude, when she captures the dad and she's like giving him the lowdown on the witches and she's like, she takes that needle in her fucking titty and then she like draws the blood and she stabs it in him and then like that scene where he like sees the map on his fucking chest, and it's like his veins are all like popping out, dude. Yeah. Oh my god! And then it's a creepy story,
crazy.
Dude.
It's crazy. It's like you don't get really well written horror these days as far as movies go because it's all regurgitation. But this is definitely a fresh take. I feel like people need to cultivate more comic horror into mainstream media because. Like I love horror movies. I've been watching a horror movie and friggin' horror and ghost documentaries every night since friggin' October started, and it's literally all regurgitation. Like slasher flicks are literally the same thing. Friggin', I think monsters haven't been original since like the conception of Freddy Krueger and how like this fool attacks your dreams. Like that's one of the most craziest things I've ever heard as far as like horror is gone. But I feel like Hollywood and all these production companies, they need to cultivate these writers who write for comic books because there's a lot of horror comics out right now that's just like absolutely just fresh takes on things, like what I mean. Infidel was about a ghost who feeds on xenophobia. That's amazing. And then they go into the whole backstory and the mythos over these things, you know what I mean? And take for instance Immortal Hulk, right? Like I recently just started reading it, and you know how there's like a narration where it talks about like different beliefs and different like the left hand of God and the right hand of God, and like it goes into this whole mythos that kind of provides you like a different fresh take on on different things, especially like ghost stories. Ghost stories, it's all the same shit. Like The Conjuring, it's all the same shit. Like, but then they came out with The Nun, and that was like absolutely freaking horrifying. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, just they need to cultivate all these freaking ghost stories and give us something more, because like I feel like no one goes out to I mean, when theaters were open anyway, no one goes out to the theaters to go watch a horror movie. They'd rather just wait until they're at home. And there's just this treasure trove of just like horror genre in comics that's just totally untapped.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been a big horror fan. You know what I mean? Like the movies just never scared me. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I don't know what that is. Like even as a kid, like I think I watched like Child's Play, which other kids I knew would like they'd have nightmares from it. I thought it was funny. I didn't find it like scary at all. I just can never get into it. Like all these horror movies to me were just funny. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how else to say it. Like I was like, dude, you guys are idiots. Like why are you going in there? Like that would be my fucking thing, like horror comic books. And that's what's weird is I really do enjoy them. And I don't read a ton of them, but the ones I have read, I do like. I think Junji Ito, his fucking shit, like the body horror that he does, like it's. I wouldn't say that it scares me, but it creeps me out as I'm.
It leaves a lasting impression.
Yes,
it definitely leaves a lasting impression.
But I do think that I would kind of credit Snyder for getting me into horror comic books, because I would consider American Vampire a horror comic, and. That was the first book I ever read of his was issue number 1, and I'll be honest, only reason I bought it, because I didn't know who the fuck he was. It was because Stephen King's name was on that book, and I love Stephen King, and but from there, I was just more open to checking stuff out, and then you get books like Wytches, and then you have books like Nailbiter.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of good horror stuff out in comics. I don't think it's a genre. Maybe it just doesn't sell as well. Maybe there's not as many people that really want to read horror. They'd rather.
It's a niche thing in literally every medium, because horror video games don't sell as well. Horror movies don't sell as well. It's a niche.
Yeah, but I love it. It's freaking great. Like it's some of the coolest stuff, especially like if it's like a fresh take on something. Like Philadelphia. I don't like vampires. Like I think the last thing that I read that was vampire related was probably like 30 Days of Night, and then I haven't read anything since. You know what I mean? 30 Days of Night was dope, and I think Philadelphia is just equally as dope too, because it's a fresh take on vampires. Like whereas 30 Days of Night was just like Alaska's dark for 30 days, guys.
It's just the premise of the fact that they're stuck in a place that's constantly dark for a month.
Yeah, exactly. Right, and then Then with Philadelphia, it's like this. It's like an organized group of vampires that's like that's literally being led by a friggin' former president, and it's crazy. It's just different takes on things where you can just approach the old tropes, but in new ways. Is just really freaking cool too. They're really cool to me. Like especially, I feel like you could execute that very well in the comic because you have time. You can stretch it out over 6 issues. You can stretch it out over 10 issues. Stretch it out over 12 issues, and like really fill it out. Like horror, I feel like we need to talk more about horror comics even after friggin' October is over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down to read horror comics. It's a genre that I just find fascinating more so in comic books, because I tend to think that it just doesn't feel as like gimmicky as like what I see in movies. You know what I mean? Like some of them are just actually no. I will say that there was what was that Jordan Peele movie?
Get Out.
That shit was like I wouldn't say I was scared, but that shit was like it made me feel uneasy.
Yeah.
And I have not ever felt that in any other horror movie that I've seen. I mean, I've seen I've seen a lot because
Us?
No, I haven't seen Us.
Watch Us. Like that one's good too. Another good movie that came out too was Hereditary. That one was good. Midsummer. It gets weird.
It's really slow.
Yeah, but it gets weird. Like, once it gets weird fast.
All right, I'll check this out. But yeah, Wytches. I really love it. I recommend it to anybody that's a fan of horror books, anybody that's a fan of Snyder, if you're a fan of Jock. I think it's a good entry point for horror fans too, because I mean, I think that a lot of people do like Jock's art. A lot of people like Snyder. Anybody that likes those creators should definitely give this a read. And if you're not a fan of horror, I think this might change your mind.
Yeah, and I recommend this to anyone who lives by a forest. Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, you hear weird things at night.
This is a book that should be read in the forest at around midnight. Maybe 1 in the morning.
Right when you put the fire out.
On a full moon.
On a full moon, midwinter.
Yeah.
Midwinter.
Yeah, maybe grab yourself a blanket, grab yourself some coffee, and go read this book, and go read it in a snowy forest, full moon. Or go read it in an abandoned old fucking wooden shack in a wooden
forest. Go into Ryan's catacombs and look for his books, and then read this.
Yeah. You have to make it a mission. It's all of a sudden a quest in a video game.
Yes. So you guys want to talk about what anything you're excited for next week?
Next week. Hold on. Let me pull up my list.
Coming out next week?
I literally have 3 books. I'll start because I already know.
I think it's a smaller week.
I'll tell you what is coming out that I'm very happy about.
Last Ronin?
Oh yeah, that too. I forgot because they archived it on the sub list because they're shorted their copies. But the second part of the fucking Hellboy book that started pre-pandemic, dude, I've been waiting for the second part to Effie Kolb. Mario, you know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
The Return of Effie Kolb.
I don't think I knew about this.
You had it in your poll.
Oh.
It's been that long.
The Hellboy BPRD. Well, there's a few of them, because there's also Frankenstein Undead. That one also, just stopped.
Finally, I get some new Hellboy, and then on top of the fact that I just got the advances from Dark Horse, and that the Seven Brides comic, the Hellboy and the Seven Brides, is going to come out. It's done, or else I wouldn't have the advance. So It's coming out, I think, November 11th, which I'm very stoked on. I've been waiting for new Hellboy. Not the Seven Brides, but the Effie Kolb one. It was a fucking part 2, and I don't even understand why that has taken so long to come out. Dark Horse has been the one publisher that has really slow-rolled their books since shops have reopened, and it's like, dude. So, not only was it late before COVID, but then they've made us wait this long, so I'm very excited to finally read that.
It's cool.
And then, of course, Last Ronin. Because I love the Ninja Turtles. So
I read the preview for it a couple months back, and I was just like, dude, I gotta get this. This looks fucking awesome. That was one of my main things. Is I haven't read Ninja Turtles since freaking old school Eastman, OG freaking first run Eastman. And I was like, I hope that I don't have to know anything, and I hope it doesn't think. But from what I read from the previews, it's all right, cool. It's just kind of set in the distant future. Boom, here you go. All right, cool. I'm gonna read that shit.
Yeah, you don't need to know anything from because it's based off of an old idea that Eastman and Laird wrote all the way back then, and we don't even know which turtle is the last Ronin. They're not even saying who it is because he's got all the weapons. You know what I mean? So they're really not telling anybody who it is. I love the Ninja Turtles. I've been reading this current series since it first came out. I have every issue.
I feel like it's Mikey. I feel like it's Mikey.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, it's the least likely. But then again, if because it's the least likely, is that why we're thinking it's him? Or is it going to be like Donatello, who's not really a warrior,
Also, Donatello's been kind of getting the brunt end of the stick lately from what I read of reviews and stuff. Just Donatello's just been getting treated like shit, so it might be Donatello too.
I'm excited.
But I'm excited that Three Jokers is finally going to be over. I'm excited for Kanto number 3. Oh, 765 of Wonder Woman comes out. I'm not really excited for the issue itself, but that Joshua Middleton variant, he's been killing it. It's almost like he's doing his own freaking Alex Ross timeless thing, but he's just kind of running with it and doing just it's been fantastic. His variant covers have just been absolutely great. Mm-hmm. And this is the one I've been waiting for since they announced it. This is the one where it's just her face. It looks like she looks very Greek. You know what I mean? He didn't make her look like Gal Gadot, and he kind of went. It doesn't even remind me of Linda Carter either, even though he has the old school freaking tiara. This is the variant cover I've been waiting for, definitely. Oh, and the Chadwick Boseman Spawn 311.
We're gonna retire off of that book, right?
Wait, what?
Yeah, that book's not overprinted at all.
No, you're gonna sell it on eBay and you're gonna retire because it's gonna make so much bank.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like it's I'm gonna get it graded, and I hope for a 9.8, and then I'm gonna send my unborn child to college.
Exactly. For me, it's
and I'm gonna sell my Punchline 9.8 too. Oh god! Just boom. That's Harvard.
For me, Lazarus Risen is the one that I'm looking forward to the most.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for the trade for that because I didn't have the.
Is it a continuation of Lazarus by Rucka?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just about to start Volume 3. I've been sitting on it for a bit, but I'm gonna start it soon. Probably. Like
I fucking love that book. I fucking love that.
It's good, dude. It is good. Yeah, like especially like in the second volume where they start introducing different more characters aside from
Forever.
Yeah, Forever, and it's cool. Like I like the premise of it.
But they switched over to this new publishing schedule where they only come out like 3 times a year. So there's a long wait in between.
But they're thicker though too.
Yeah, they are longer, but it is a long wait in between them. So I'm looking forward to finally getting another Lazarus issue.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't wait for the trade to come out for that.
Yeah, the deluxe hardcovers they put out are really nice too.
I don't have those, but I'll probably end up buying them if I can find them.
You'll find them.
Where there's a will, there's a way, honey.
Well, there's a will, there's a Ryan.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, like that's pretty much it.
Nothing else for you, Mario?
I only have 4 books on my. I mean, Strange Academy is coming back. I've been liking that book.
Yeah, I only have 4 books too. I think I have Immortal Hulk, Spider-Man, Hellboy, and Last Ronin. Yeah.
Immortal Hulk, dude. I'm just like totally blown away by it. Blown away by it. I need to catch up. Like, what issue is it? Like 33 or something?
No, I think it's on 39 this week.
Holy shit, 39. I'm like kind of halfway through. Friggin', I just read the part where Bruce just reconnected with Betty and she got shot in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, you know what? I have to say, I forgot to talk about it for what I read last week. I read the new Fantastic Four. The only reason I read it was because R.B. Silva was on art.
Oh wow.
And he's their new ongoing artist. And I have to say, dude, I was pleasantly surprised. I literally only was getting it for the art. I thought the story would probably be trash. I won't say the story was like fantastic. I mean, but it was very enjoyable.
Does it seem enjoyable for?
He wrote the characters the way I think they should be written. I didn't like the way he was writing Franklin in the beginning. I thought he was kind of out of character. But Doom was in there, and it seems like an interesting like storyline that they're going for. I haven't read it since issue. I don't even remember. Whenever that Hulk and thing, whenever they fought, I think.
Yeah, that was like issue 6 or 7.
Yeah, that was in the beginning.
That was early.
Yeah, so whenever that happened, I'm like, I can't do this to myself anymore. This is making my fucking eyes bleed having to read these words. But yeah, it was good. It was actually good because I don't think Dan Slott's always bad. I think 90% of the time he's bad. But this was in the 10% where he wasn't complete trash. So, I just want to talk.
I feel like the only thing that I liked from Dan Slott was literally Silver Surfer. I didn't like his Spider-Man.
I think his Spider-Man had moments. I just think he needed to leave the book. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it was all bad. I actually enjoyed his Superior Spider-Man. I just think it went a little
Superior Spider-Man was cool.
I just think it went a little too long.
Everything leading up to Superior too was pretty cool. Like the whole trying to save Dr. Octopus thing.
Yeah, he was just on the book too long, dude. He needed to go. It's kind of like with Nick Spencer. He needs to go as well. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I'm kind of enjoying this current arc, and the only reason I jumped back on was for the anniversary issue. Like I'm a sucker for those. So I knew I wanted to jump back in right leading up to the arc because the anniversary issue was the finale of the last arc, and it's actually pretty good. It seems like he's kind of getting his footing, or maybe he's going away from all the tie-in bullshit that he was kind of latched onto with like the Absolute Carnage, and then he did that 2099 thing that was just fucking trash. And I feel like that was more editorial, because they wanted to tie in to the anniversary of 2099. I think he's getting a little bit more leeway, it seems like, with what he's being able to do. So it's a little bit better than what it was before. And I miss Spider-Man, so it's kind of hard for me to stay away too long,
Yeah.
Yeah. We need a good Spider-Man back.
All we need is Jason Aaron.
Dude, I would freaking sub that in a heartbeat. I feel like Jason Aaron would write
or
a
Chip
great
Zdarsky would be good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to see Aaron. I was just reading the complete collection of Wolverine by Jason Aaron, Volume 3, and I read the Spider-Man Wolverine, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, I just want to see Spider-Man by Jason Aaron. That's all I want."
I'd rather see him on Daredevil.
No,
just throwing Chip on Spider-Man. There you go.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I like with the few pages that Spider-Man has had in like the Chip Zdarsky run. As far as what I've read in those few panels, I feel like he understands Peter on a deeper on like that deeper, more human, more human level of Peter Parker that I really appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want Jason Aaron on Daredevil. I can accept Chip Zdarsky on Spider-Man, but Jason Aaron on Daredevil is not what I want to see.
What? No, he'd be amazing.
No, I don't want to see him on that book. I'd rather him do something different than that.
I feel like Jason Aaron's too large scale for a Spider-Man book, and I feel like Spider-Man needs to be more localized and more like I don't know. I like Spider-Man. I like my Spider-Man stories when they're smaller and more contained within like New York City. And I feel like
what are you talking about? Jason Aaron's perfect with single characters.
Wait,
he is with doing one, just focusing on one character is where he's at his best. No.
You misunderstand. I'm talking about like Jason Aaron, like his Wolverine stuff, fantastic. But it was always on a larger scale. There was always like other stuff involved, especially like Wolverine Goes to Hell, Wolverine versus the X-Men, and Wolverine's Revenge. It solely focused on Wolverine, but it also had a large cast behind it. Like I feel like
but Spider-Man has a large supporting cast. You got Aunt May, you got Mary Jane, you got fucking the Osborns. He has a lot of supporting cast. Jameson, fucking Robbie Thompson. I think what you want to see is only in New York, and we're not going to get that. We're not going to get a Spider-Man only in New York unless they fucking go back in time and write a young Peter Parker. But now that he's been an Avenger, like you can't put the fucking genie back in the bottle. You know what I mean? Like you've kind of already opened up Spider-Man to this larger world of like these big events and being central figure in it. And don't get me wrong, I would love a New York neighborhood Spider-Man. Just focus on him being in the neighborhood, but I don't think we're going to get that unless they do a series where it's like kind of based in the past.
Or it's a side story. I don't know why Tom Taylor's book didn't, because that's literally what I thought that book was going to be, but then it ended up being that. And I don't even think it sold very well, too. That's the other problem.
I think Zdarsky would be good on Spider-Man. For some reason, Jason Aaron and Daredevil, it's just not.
But his War of Realms stuff was amazing when it was Daredevil.
I know, but it's just not it's not a book that I would pick for him. I don't know. It's just.
Or Moon Knight. I would love to see Jason Aaron on Moon Knight.
I mean, he'd be good on Moon Knight. I even wouldn't mind seeing him do like a Cap run either.
No, I don't even know what to do with Cap. Because Cap's also another one where we haven't really had a consistently good run in a long time either.
Right. Jason Aaron could save it.
Maybe.
Daredevil's been good. There's no reason to take Zdarsky off is my point. Like Zdarsky's going to be on there for a while. What is Jason Aaron going to do? What does Jason Aaron need to jump in and save is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm just trying to think because Cap's kind of hard because it's like, well, do you want to go to the spy kind of vibe like Brubaker, but Jason Aaron isn't really known for that. So Cap's harder, or do like a lighthearted one, but then I don't know that Jason Aaron's really lighthearted either. So I don't know that Cap's necessarily a good fit for him. I think Spider-Man would probably be a better fit. But with Cap, I have no idea. I don't know who would be good for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Ta-Nehisi Coates isn't doing a bad job. It's not like blowing me away either. You know?
Yeah. I was really hoping that Wade and Somni were going to stick around because I could really see that being like a 4-year run.
I know that was fucked up that didn't go longer. I don't really get that. Or Jason Aaron could always go to DC and save something over there. But I feel like maybe the relationship isn't that good over there. I don't know.
He would get the freedom he gets at Marvel.
I think Bendis has pretty much been given freedom. You don't think Aaron would command the same freedom?
Probably not.
I feel like he would. Jason Aaron is a huge name. Yeah, that'd be a huge get for fucking DC. I think they'll let him do whatever the fuck he wants, kind of.
Who would you like to see him write for in DC though? Just off the top of your head, Jason Aaron writing who?
Green Arrow.
Of course, I fucking knew it. I don't even know why I asked you.
What? I think that he would do a great Green Arrow run. I think that he has the humor, he has the seriousness, and I just want somebody to fucking do something with Green Arrow that's just better, you know?
Yeah, it's been since Mir's run since we had something that really like.
I would argue that the Ben Percy run was pretty good, but you know, it didn't like blow people away, but I think it's underrated. I mean, you seeing what Ben Percy's doing on X-Force and Wolverine, and I think those are pretty solid books, you know. And I think that what he did for the rebirth era of Green Arrow was pretty cool. I just think Green Arrow just wasn't selling well. You know what I mean? Like, and then they put other writers on that just weren't as good, and then it kind of just killed the book. And then they said they had plans for him, but what are those plans? What are you fucking doing? Unless Bendis is going to write Green Arrow, which I think actually he could probably do a pretty solid run on Green Arrow too, but I don't know. He's probably going to do Batman, I would imagine.
Bendis?
Yeah.
That's really just depressing. I think Bendis being on DC bummed me out more than anything.
Well, you just hate DC, that's why.
No, because he's not doing any of the things that I wanted him to do. Like, basically, just don't write superheroes, and just write people talking. And have it be like Lois Lane do Lois Lane as a human. Basically the Rucka book, but as an ongoing. In the same way that, like, Alias, like Jessica Jones' book, was like the superhero part barely mattered. That wasn't the point. The point was exploring her like a person and setting her up and fleshing her out. So,
well, see, then I would argue he'd be good on somebody like The Question.
Yeah, him, that too. But it's just, he's just more... Because The Question is kind of serious. That's more of a Rucka thing.
Rucka's not going to do The Question. I think Rucka should have been. I think Lois Lane should have been an ongoing. I think they
100%.
sold it to. They sold it to him as an ongoing, and it's clear because he put a lot of work into that series, and then they ended it, and I'm just like, just a dumb decision, because that could have been a really. I don't know how it sold. I know that it was selling pretty well at our shop. It started getting. I mean, I think there's even a couple issues that got speculated on for the first appearance of a character, which I couldn't even tell you who that character is right now, but
Skull Woman, I forgot her name.
I mean, that was a great book. That was a fantastic book.
Yeah, that should have been ongoing for sure. But that's kind of what I expected from Bendis, where it was like, let's just focus on the newspaper from the perspective like a Lois Lane. And Clark could be in it too, but he'd be more a supporting character.
Right, but then he's just retreading his old fucking... He's literally just doing what he did at Marvel at DC. And then
that's 100% what I would want to see.
Yeah, I know.
But it was amazing at Marvel.
I know, but there's no growth as a writer if you're just doing the same thing over again. You know what I mean? Like, but look what he did with his Jinx World stuff, right? It's funny, we're going all the way back to Bendis again.
That felt like he literally had the scripts lying around.
Jinx World, that was Scarlet, right?
That was 4 books.
Cover, Pearl.
I really like Scarlet. Scarlet was dope.
I think Cover and Pearl were my favorites of what he did when he came to DC for the Jinx World. Cover was phenomenal with David Mack. Michael Gaydos on Pearl was fucking just goddamn. That book was beautiful.
Alex Maleev on Scarlet.
Yeah, I don't know how this conversation turned to all this again.
Comics, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, that's all I got. Anything else you guys want to fucking share before we get out of here?
What do you call UCS dropped DC because DC's full of shit. So.
I think at first it was reported the other way around, right?
Yes, it was, and then 2 days ago, Bleeding Cool retracted their statements. Like, oh, my bad, we were 100% wrong. UCS dropped DC. Yeah.
I mean, whatever, dude. You know, I think Lunar was doing a better job anyway. I mean, there wasn't complaints about Lunar. It's mostly been complaints about UCS.
Mm-hmm.
So, fuck Midtown Comics.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about them. I've never ordered from DCBS. I have ordered from In Stock Trades, which is their web, because they have. I mean, dude, the discount.
They have really good deals on there.
Yeah, the discount is better than what I get working at a comic book shop.
And when you place an order, it actually gets ordered.
Right. There's nobody telling you, oh, I can't do that right now.
Even though I just did that 40 seconds ago, but I can't do it now.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know maybe this means DC might even go back to Diamond. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, utilize Diamond and Lunar. I think they're doing a better job than Diamond. I don't get damages from Lunar. I get damages every fucking week from Diamond.
I have no complaints with Lunar. They've been doing pretty well.
I mean, they bag and board their variants, the high-end variants. I mean, like the 1 in 25s, 1 in 100s, whatever those are, whatever the case may be. But Diamond, it's like they throw their comics in the box or something, dude. It blows my mind when I pull out a comic book and it looks like somebody fucking did origami with it, dude. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How the fuck did you manage to get that in there? The other day, dude, like we had like a whole case of those Alex Ross Timeless covers, and there was a fucking like those like really big ass clips. They're black.
Yeah, paper clip.
Okay. Yeah.
No, those like the document.
They
clip.
literally had one of those, and it was clipped to like some fucking label, and they put it on top of the book and closed the box, and it fucking like completely gouged and tore the fucking comic it was on top of. And it's like, why was that even in the box? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even get why it's there. I mean, dude, sometimes there's highlighters inside the boxes, and I'm just like, what the like pens, markers, like
coloring book.
What the fuck, dude? Like, I'm just waiting for like somebody's fucking lunch knapsack to be in the fucking box with these comics, dude. Maybe drop a cell phone in there. I don't know, but it's like I don't even understand what the fuck these guys are doing. Like, I know they don't fucking pay their people well. I've heard that, but it's like, fuck, like, how much are you costing yourself with these damages? That's what I want to know. Because, like, it's clear that nobody packing these books gives a shit about how to pack them. I wouldn't even mind another distributor coming in. I know it's annoying for retailers, but retailers need to just calm down and fucking, be open to change.
Yeah.
Because everybody was fighting a new distributor, and I'll admit I was even part of that. More so because of the timing, not because they did it. Mine was like, why are you doing this right now during a fucking pandemic? Why is now the time you're choosing to start a new distribution company and asking retailers to, like, when they're already having problems, do this? But I think now, like, things are back in the swing of things. Shops have been open for months now. I'm all for other distribution companies, especially because Diamond is like, you'd think they would have upped their game trying to, like, show that they could do better. Like, they have less books and less product to put out, and the books are coming in shittier than they were before.
I don't know. There's just steady complaints coming from Diamond. Like, this is you're not the only one that I've heard complaints from. It's just been pretty bad.
I don't know. I don't want to end on a bad note, but
you got a lot of hate in your heart. You gotta let it out.
I know. Everybody's always telling me that. Let the hate out. Yeah.
Let the hate flow.
Okay.
Safe space, dude. You're in a safe space. Okay. Let it out.
Yeah.
Play a hater's ball.
Safe space. All right. Well, in better news, we are doing a Halloween special episode that will air on Halloween. Going to be having Jen back on the show. We're going to talk about Hellboy, Seed of Destruction. Very excited to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then on next week's regular episode, we're doing Fables Volume 6. And we have another guest. We're going to have Nick back on the show to talk about that.
Nick.
Yeah.
Miss that guy.
I love how you just laugh when you hear his name.
Nick. I'm gonna give him shit for not ordering freaking all new Wolverine for you. Like, how dare you? How dare you, sir?
That was funny.
Yeah.
How fucking dare you?
Oh, I can't right now, dude. Not right now.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm doing other stuff. Yeah, you are doing other stuff. You're ordering that same omnibus for somebody else. Now, change the number.
Who's not me?
Yeah, exactly. So be on the lookout for those episodes. And once again, Mario, thank you for joining us to talk about Wytches.
Always a pleasure, bud.
Yeah, we mentioned not talking about hip hop either. So.
I know. I was trying very hard not to because
when you were talking about Venom, it took everything in my power to not do that stupid Eminem Venom. That stupid fucking song.
Yeah, I wish you didn't do that. I wish that song did not exist.
Okay, well, look, the chorus is trash, but, like, in the third verse, this fool starts talking about it. Like, he starts talking about, like, the symbiotic relationship, and it's like, hell yeah. This fool Eminem is a big comic nerd, right? Like, he has, like, a really crazy, expansive freaking comic collection. But, yeah, anyway, I digress. But Venom...
All right. So Mario, before I give our plugs, if you want to plug your the Marauders real quick, tell people where they can find you on that.
Check out Comic Marauders, the podcast that I'm on with Nick and Kevin from Cook's Paradise. That's on any, like, podcast service you can find. Yeah, send anything, whatever you use, it's on there. We're on iTunes too, and Apple Podcasts. That comes out. It publishes usually Saturday, but then Kevin will post about it like a week later.
And Kevin is the only Marauder that has not been on this podcast. I don't want to shame him for what. It's because he's a Donny Cates diehard, bro. It's because he has Donny Cates tattooed on his left thigh, and I'm like, I can't have you on my show.
It's a tramp stamp. You got it right.
Oh, so he has two then. So where are his rune tattoos? Where are those at? Donnie rune.
He's too woke to be ruined.
Oh, he's too woke. Okay, all right. I guess all right.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Wait. We gotta.
What?
we gotta get Kevin on here. I want to talk about these tattoos, bud.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to Kevin. I'll see. We're gonna have to pick something that's super woke if we're gonna have him on the show. Yeah.
Okay. So Miss Marvel.
Oh my God, don't classify that as woke. No, we'll figure something out to have Kevin on here for. But so that's been another episode of the Comic Lounge podcast. A lot of rambling, a lot of shenanigans, and if you're not already following us, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Comic Lounge. Drop your comments or suggestions down below, or you can email us thecomicloungepod@gmail.com. And make sure you hit the subscribe button on whatever you're listening to us on. We are on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, pretty much anything you listen to podcasts on. And on that note, we're out.
Later, buds.